Yeah,
do want to focus.
philosophy. Let me just tell you something about that I believe about philosophy. Okay, especially when it comes to religion. I don't believe that religion needs philosophy to be explained. Okay, you see what happened to this guy. It's just philosophy, and then you add your own interpretation and your own imaginary. It's subjective, and then when no one agrees with you, you get confused and like, oh, I thought this is what everybody else believes, but it's not. Philosophy is a subjective thing that people use when they fail to explain their religion. This is what I mean about why I don't like philosophy talking about religion.
Got you. So, like, do you just not like epistemology at all?
Yeah, I can talk about it. Can talk about it, but I don't give it like a lot of importance, if that makes sense.
Because the biggest key of importance to me is you affirm the proposition that you can think, right?
Um, not not really. It depends. What do you mean by that?
Would you affirm or deny the proposition that you as a Muslim can think?
No, you don't need philosophy to that. It's just like common sense, right?
No, I'm not saying you require philosophy. I'm saying you as a man, can you think?
Of course.
Okay, now if I ask you to prove to me that you can think, how would you prove that?
You want me to prove something that that it is not tangible, right?
I want you to prove to me
Right.
the affirmative proposition that you can think.
Interesting. Yeah, how would you do that? I fail. I wouldn't be able. How would you prove to me that we human beings can think?
Well, I don't grant that all human beings can think. I actually would affirm. Sorry, I'm just standing up off my couch. I like to walk when I talk. I actually affirm that most humans are, number one, illiterate, and number two, definitely not sapient. Sapient is just the ability to be wise. And so what I think has happened is people confuse the ability to read with the ability to think. And people who don't care about what it means to think overcompensate with what they've read. And they become so confident with saying, well, this person said this other person said that. But then when I ask about their understanding of putting that into their own words, because truth is personal, valuing your experience, right? Because you objectively exist as a subject, right?
Truth is personal, so it's subjective.
Well, no, it would be synthesized. I'm a Hegelian.
Truth is objective, right?
It's synthesized. It's both.
There's only one truth. There is no such thing as my truth and your truth. There's only one truth, the truth. Is that would we agree on that?
Well, there's going to be three things right there. There's three true categories. There's going to be truth with a capital T, where we're unified in experiences, and there's going to be two, and that's objective. And there's going to be two lowercase t truths, which is your honest experience, which is really happening relationally distinct than my honest experience. To undermine our individual experiences is to fail to understand each other. And that's the thing.
You see, brother. I am not interested in like philosophy when it comes to simple things, right? Because now I feel like we're just complicating everything, right?
But I just made it so simple that what
you
would
didn't.
you say?
You didn't. I'm 100% like the chat are like more confused than ever.
Would you say that it is your goal to understand me and for me to understand you? If that is not your goal, then is your goal just to convert people?
No, I'm not here to convert anyone.
So what's your goal?
I'm just having a conversation. We're just learning, we're studying, I'm reading books, I'm reading about the Bible, I'm reading about theology in general, and we're here to have a conversation. I don't care if you become, I want you to find the truth. I want you to become a Muslim, but I don't force anything. At the end of the day, it is your free will, it's your life, right?
But does that require me and you to form an understanding?
Of course. And that's like a basic thing in everywhere, and not just now in this stream talking about religion, whatever, or philosophy. This is everywhere. You go to a store, you want to buy a,
Right.
I don't know, some
So
milk.
if I
You need
wanted,
some basis of understanding between you and whoever. You know, this is milk. It needs money, and then you give the money, and there's like some unspoken understanding that has to be, you know. But I
like,
don't
think
understand this conversation though. Why do we have to talk about simple stuff anyway? Like this is obvious.
because if truth is not personal, then everybody who ever talks to you about Islam is wasting their time, because we live in a technological age where it would be more like, because like I'm interested in personal experiences about belief systems that are honest and sincere, their personal honest interpretation. If I just wanted to study Islam, why would I talk to someone like you about it?
Don't. No, that's very wrong. If you want to find the truth about Islam and you want to know if Islam is a true religion or not, this is the worst place you could be in. TikTok and
Yeah, but
following me and watching me talk about religion, having this debates and all that, crashing out. No, this is the worst place. If you want to know about Islam, just make up your own truth, right? It's right here. Pick up a Quran in your language and read it, and just make up your own understanding, your own, you know, opinion about it. You don't have to take my
but brother,
understanding or my opinion on it.
but brother, you're unintentionally affirming that it is irrational for anybody to talk to you.
No. So people who come here and talk to me about my religion, for example, or their religion, or want to talk about Paul, for example, from the Bible or whatever, there is actually something that actually happened, right? They already have knowledge about theology, for example, about the Quran, or about, they heard something somewhere else and they want to share this opinion, and I want to, you know, challenge it with me, for example. I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah,
There's no problem
that's
with that.
through that's through
And from that,
interpretations, though, right?
here's the thing. From that, for example, if I read the Quran with my own perspective, right, and I understand completely my way, and you would do the same thing, which is a wrong thing, right? You have to like, you see other people's perspective of it as well, right? Isn't that like that's
Right,
why
but
we
we're
have the tafsir, for example, to Jesus, to understand what the early Muslim people, scholars, when they wrote the Quran, who has better knowledge when it comes to the language itself, how did they, you know, understood this book? Maybe I missed something, right? Just because I have a brain and I can think does not mean everything that I'm going to be reading is the actual truth, okay? Is 100% what it means. I may miss something. And that's why debates like this is very important. You read about something, you go and talk to someone else about it, and have a different perspective about the same thing that you read. What's wrong
Right,
with that?
but that's gonna require interpretations, right?
Yeah, but interpretation is not, it's not just this magical thing. It comes from somewhere, right? Everyone has like some backgrounds that they
It
use for their own
it
interpretation.
comes from a
right?
personal truth. It comes from
Yeah.
truth being personal.
Not just truth, but also the data that you have in your mind, right? This is normal things. Why are we talking about this? You're talking about, you know, philosophy and all this, but this is simple things. It shouldn't be even questioned.
Because it's an interpretation of the data. It's an interpretation of the information.
Yeah,
and then what we do,
based on the data that you have, based on your own knowledge, and then
but
what
it's still gonna
happened
be an
here? It's not just
interpretation of the data.
interpretations. No, it's not just interpretations, but it's actually your view. Actually, you know, you give your view on the matter, and then you compare it with someone else. That's why we watch videos. That's why we read books. That's why we do all that stuff, to compare everything. Right?
Okay. Would you like me to explain my metaphysical commitments?
Bro, enough with this fancy words, you know. Like, but yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
just-
Whatever that means.
Okay. I believe that God is being, and being is necessarily relational, and we communicate what that is with words, and the greatest unifier for all words is going to be the word. We can start
Okay.
there.
Yeah, beautiful. Explain that to me like I'm 10 years old.
Okay. Well, my son's 6, so I'll try to explain it to you like him. Everything that is something, and that something is what it is. That's just a tautology. A tautology just means it is what it is. When we're analyzing what it is, we are explaining it through its relations. Everything exists relationally. If something exists non-relationally, it would be impossible for us to have any information about it, because every single epistemic commitment we have is relational. It's connected. Some things are interconnected, some things are externally connected, and then we analyze that. We're talking about the relations through a presupposition of an identity with everything.
Okay, kind of makes sense, but I don't think a 6 years old would understand what you're saying. But yeah, okay, kind of makes sense. So
Okay.
what are we talking about?
An apple is an apple, right?
Mhm.
But if I ask you, what's an apple? What do you tell me?
I may say a fruit. It's a fruit.
Right. And this is important because the apple, in order to have an epistemic conversation about the identity, it has to have a relation to something else.
The apple now is going to have a epistemic conversation.
No, we are having an epistemic conversation about the identity of the apple through its relations.
Okay.
The same standard is going to be applied to God.
You're a Christian. Are you?
If
Are you a
God-
Christian?
I try to follow Christ.
All right. I think Christians may love you, bruh. Like, because they need this. They need some solid explanation when it comes to God being three in one, and the Trinity and all that stuff. And philosophy is the best way to explain three gods in one, even though it makes no sense. And it's against logic and everything. So
Thank
yeah, the way to explain your religion when you fail to explain it in a simple way is through philosophy, and that's why I don't trust philosophy when it comes to religion. I try to use simple words. I may be sometimes able to use like fancy words, but I try to just keep it simple. You know, it should be simple. It has to be simple. It's easy, simple. The Quran is simple. Just
Do you think? So do
you
you
know,
think that
people
you're a
are
Muslim?
simple. People are simple.
Do you think that you're a Muslim because it's true or because it's simple?
No, simple is like the level of understanding something. I'm not saying that just because it's simple doesn't mean that's not a criteria for
is it-
me to believe in
but
something just because it's simple. I
is
say
it- is it
if
possible
God
that
is
the
going to
truth-
give you a message, it's not going to be cryptic, okay? It's going to be, clear. That's
Well,
what I'm
okay,
trying
but-
to say.
Are you denying the fact that truth could be complex?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying about this particular things, right? When we're talking about religion,
so
we're talking
how
about
about
God and
this?
everything, the existence, our existence, we should have. I know the entire truth is very complex. I understand that. But I'm saying that there must be a simpler explanation when it comes to that. Instead
see,
of
how about-
us
how
go
about
into
this, brother?
philosophy.
How
Hmm.
about this, brother? Right? Because everything's philosophy, by the way. Like philosophy of religion,
No.
right? When you're talking about religion, that's
No,
philosophy.
I disagree. Just because you're talking about something doesn't mean
That's-
you're always philosophying about it, if that's even a word. No,
But
No,
here, brother,
no.
I would love for you to challenge my worldview, right? Because most people can't, and I'm very bored, honestly. Not of you, but in people in general, right? I would
yeah,
love
you,
for you.
you just started by saying
Yeah.
people not even thinking. You said you already like offended like 90% of this planet by saying just because you have a brain doesn't mean you're thinking. I know most of people actually
Yeah.
could be, what do you call that? The NPCs, right? And I met a lot of people who think, oh, do these people even think? If you actually debate with Christians, you would ask yourself this all the time. There's NPCs everywhere, right? But no, they have a brain. They have the ability to think, but there's other things on the way, right? A lot of people think every day, but could be they don't have the skills when it comes to critical thinking, right? They may be like a lot of people would be thinking very, very hard when it comes, for example, ridiculous things like women when it comes to shoes, for example, or makeup or stuff like that. The level of thinking when it comes to that is very high. But when it comes to believing in their creator and their like the let's say the holy books, the Bible and everything, they just submit and just listen to the priest, for example, and whatever the priest is telling them, they just submit and accept it, right? They don't use critical thinking when it comes to something that is very, very important, which is their own salvation, because you have to
I think that our salvation, we should be thinking more critically about than anything else. It's the most important thing.
And put your emotion aside, right? Put your emotions aside. I agree.
What does that mean?
Put your emotions aside means do not think with your emotions, right? Like, for example, right now, if like the Christians are looking at me right now, I'm saying, look, your God is not a man. You shouldn't like worship a man, right? They would get emotional. No, mommy said this, mommy said that, and the priest said this, my father said this in the church, right? They get emotional because it's like an emotional reaction. It's not an intellectual reaction to what I'm saying.
I would love to get into the intellectual stuff, right? Like, I would love for you, like, let's say this, right? I think you can challenge my language system. You can prove that I'm wrong. So if I make a claim, then you can ask me
I admit, I'm not on the same level when it comes to the words, right? When it comes to some vocabulary you use. Obviously, you studied philosophy.
Yeah, that's fine. I have no problem.
You said
I have no problem. I'll use super simple things and simple explanations, simple analogies, and anything you don't understand, you can just ask me.
Sure.
Okay. So going back to like the apple thing, an apple is an apple, but we understand it through its relations, right? So God is necessarily in that same standard because how we understand things are things that are relational, right? So if that's true, that our that how we think is about the relations, and we think about God, we have access to God, we can know God, then God is relational.
What do you mean by relational? That if you don't have a relationship with that specific one or thing, you would not be able to understand it, him?
Yeah, bare minimum, if we were disconnected from the source, and the source is God, then there would be no way for God to communicate with us or for us to communicate with God. So bare minimum, even for like the atheists, for example, they have to be connected with the universe.
How?
Right.
How are atheists connected to the universe? I thought we were using real words, right? How do you get? No, not this Hindu thing like kumbaya thing. Like, how do you get connected to the universe?
The universe is a scientific claim. It's the sum total of all.
Yeah, but how do you get connected to it?
Right. Because you're a physical thing, and the universe is the sum total of physical things.
Yeah, but how do you? I know. Yeah, but how do you get connected to it? Like you said, there's a relation. There's a relation. One sec. What?
A nos would be able to help you a lot.
Apex. Yeah, sure. So
yeah, please.
He's not requesting, but I don't. Maybe he's sleeping. Oh, he's. Oh. So let me just make this point, right? You said there's a relationship between us and God through what? Through prophets and revelations. That's how I understood it, right? Through the Quran. I understand that, right? But when you say the atheist has a relationship with the universe, what do you mean by that? What is that relationship? What is that connection?
It could just be like knowability, like KNOW ability, the ability to be known, the ability to be studied, the ability to be measured.
Okay, all that means, all he's saying is just that we are in the universe. That's literally all he's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I understood. That's what I understood. You are in the universe. But what is the connection?
I don't know why you're overcomplicating it.
Yeah, what is the tools? What is the tools that you use?
I've been trying to make it so simple. I can DM you about this later.
I mean, all you could have said was that we live in the universe. That's all that it means to be connected.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter what I like. He doesn't believe in epistemology. He hates philosophy. It doesn't matter what I say. I started talking about
He
apples.
can hate philosophy. That's perfectly fine. Do you see the prompt? It's not about philosophy.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how we had a conversation.
Wait. I never. Philosophy generally. I said when it comes to the religion, right? I said religion should be and must be easy for a lot of people. As you said yourself, a lot of people can't even think, right? And then you give them this very complex religion that needs philosophy in order to be understood, right? I don't think that's right. I don't think God would do something like that. We need something simple that anyone could understand. That's what I'm saying. That's what I said. I hate philosophy when it comes to religion.
No problem. Okay, you guys have a good conversation now. Okay, Ayyub, yallah, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Yeah, host. Hey, man, I'll drop down too, man. I appreciate you the conversation. I know this isn't your style. I hope that I was respectful.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate your time too. But yeah, we whenever you want, like I'm happy to have a conversation like about that, like deep philosophy and everything when it comes to religion. No problem. But again, I'm gonna stick with my principle. Like I think that religion needs to be simple in order to be understood by the people, right? It shouldn't be complex and shouldn't need philosophy in order to be understood.
Well, no worries, brother. I wish you the best, man. God bless
Yeah,
you.
appreciate your time. Thank you.